My name is Lucas Ward, I'm 33, and I used to believe logic could outsmart betrayal. I'm a forensic data analyst, trained to detect patterns, anomalies, deception. I came from a quiet Midwestern family where trust was implicit and doubt was rude. That's probably why I married Serafina, a woman so radiant and refined she looked like she belonged in a museum, not in my modest walk-up apartment in Queens. Everyone said I was lucky. I believed them. But unlike her, I never wore masks. I didn't come from money. I didn't know how to manipulate a room. I was the man behind the data, not the man in the spotlight. And maybe that's why I didn't see it coming. The glass. The dinner. The moment my wife tried to kill me with a smile and a toast. What she called a joke almost ended with my body in a freezer and her name on everything I owned. Anniversary dinners, she said, should feel like a slow kiss at midnight. Her laugh echoed. Crystal and sharp. It cut through the low hum of violins and the clinking of wine glasses. The restaurant sat at the edge of Manhattan's East Side, a rooftop terrace glowing gold beneath chandeliers the size of sedans. Waiters moved like shadows. Everything was curated. Serafina touched my hand lightly. Drink it before it loses the bubbles. I lifted the glass. Cold stem. Condensation tracing down the bowl. She'd ordered it for me, Veuve Clicquot, not my usual whiskey. The detail stuck, but I smiled. Here's to 5 years, she whispered. And to everything ahead. Our glasses kissed. Her diamond ring sparkled in the candlelight. We drank. Then it hit. Not a flavor. A burn. Metallic. My vision slid sideways. Sound dulled, like water over a speaker. My throat narrowed. The back of my tongue felt thick. Heat shot through my chest, then cold. Ice flooding my spine. Lucas? Her voice, soft, puzzled. Maybe amused. I tried to speak. Only wheezed. My knees buckled. Chair scraped tile. The table shuddered. One scream. Forks clattered. Someone called for help. I dropped hard. Back cracking tile. Limbs flailing. I remember the ceiling spinning. I remember her face. Calm. Perfect. Still holding her glass. A waiter shouted, "Call an ambulance," but it sounded underwater. I tasted blood. My pulse slowed. And just before the world snapped black, I saw her lean in, whisper something no one else heard. Poor baby. Always so dramatic. Hospital fluorescents burned like interrogation lights. I woke cuffed to oxygen tubes. Chest aching. Skin cold and damp. A nurse hovered, eyes wide. You coded twice, she said. You're lucky. Doctors said it was a severe allergic reaction. Possibly seafood. Maybe cross-contamination. I told them I hadn't eaten shellfish in years. No known allergies. They looked confused. Toxicology came back. Barbiturate. Thiopental. My breath froze mid-exhale. That wasn't food. That was intentional. My wife stood at the foot of the bed, a white coat draped perfectly over her silk dress. Oh, thank God, she breathed. You scared the hell out of me. Her mascara didn't smudge. Lipstick intact. I didn't answer. My tongue felt thick. She leaned closer. They said it was the amuse-bouche. Maybe the aioli. I stared straight ahead. The nurse adjusted my fore. Serafina's fingers brushed my cheek. You rest, she whispered. We'll fix this. When she walked out, the nurse leaned in. She was crying in the hallway. I think she loves you a lot. I blinked. But something inside me cracked. People don't poison the ones they love. Not unless they want them gone. That night, I asked to see the report. The doctor hesitated, then handed me a printout. Trace presence of thiopental sodium. Detected within blood serum and saliva. Estimated ingestion within 15 to 25 minutes prior to collapse. I replayed dinner in my mind. Again and again. The glass. She poured it herself. She smiled. She toasted. I swallowed. Something a professor once told me echoed in my head. You don't die from the obvious. You die from what's hidden in plain sight. My heart pounded. I sat up. Tubing pulled at my nose. My phone was gone. She'd taken it for safekeeping, according to the nurse. I asked for a call. They refused, said I needed rest. Outside the window, a black SUV sat idle too long. The same make as hers. I pressed the call button. No one came. Next morning, I convinced the nurse to lend me a tablet. Check my investment app. Error. Another. Finally, access. But not mine. The primary account owner had changed. My name wasn't on it anymore. And neither was my life. Everything was gone. Everything. If I hadn't spilled that first sip, I'd be dead. And she knows it. I woke to the sound of paperwork. Not machines. Not monitors. Paper. The soft, deliberate shuffle of documents sliding across a counter. Cut. Hospital room. Morning light leaking through half-closed blinds. My throat burned. My pulse thudded too loud in my ears. A nurse adjusted my smiled like everything was normal. You have a visitor, she said. Serafina stepped in right on cue. Beige coat. Hair tied back. Concern perfectly measured. You scared me, she said, sitting too close. The doctors think it was food poisoning. Food poisoning doesn't require barbiturates. I nodded anyway. Weak. Cooperative. A man who didn't know his own body had been hijacked. She reached into her purse. I brought your phone. You left it in the car. The phone felt wrong in my hand. Too light. No notifications. No missed calls. No banking alerts. I unlocked it. Signal bars flickered. Then stabilized. I opened my investment app. Error. Refreshed. Again. Finally, the dashboard loaded. But it wasn't mine. Primary account holder, Serafina Ward. My name was listed below it. Gray. Secondary. Limited access. I didn't move. Didn't react. People make mistakes when they sense victory. The trick is letting them think they've already won. I talked to the financial advisor, she said casually. Given what happened, it made sense to streamline things. You were unconscious, but it's all legal. Emergency power of attorney. Emergency. A word people hide crimes behind. I scrolled. Retirement accounts. Brokerage. The LLC holding my consulting contracts. Transferred. Every document timestamped. Notarized. Witnessed. Perfect. You should rest, she added. Stress isn't good for your heart. A philosopher once said that betrayal never feels loud. It feels administrative. Cut. Bathroom. Door locked. I leaned over the sink. My reflection looked thinner. Paler. A stranger wearing my face. I splashed water. Cold. Sharp. Check my email. One message flagged urgent. Life Shield Insurance, policy confirmation. Opened it. A $1 million policy. Accidental death rider. Signed 3 weeks ago. My signature stared back at me. It was good. Too good. A forensic analyst knows his own handwriting the way a surgeon knows bone. This wasn't a sloppy forgery. It was trained. Cut. I called my bank. Speaker low. Voice steady. The representative confirmed it. Emergency power of attorney filed. Valid under New York law. Activated during medical incapacity. Your wife acted within her rights, he said. You can contest it once you're discharged. Discharged. Assuming I lived long enough. Cut. The hospital corridor felt too long. Too many corners. Too many reflective surfaces. I noticed things I shouldn't have: a man pretending to read a vending machine, a woman pacing without a phone, a security guard who looked at me twice. Paranoia is just pattern recognition without proof. Yet. I stopped at the nurse's station. Can I get a copy of the incident report from last night? The nurse hesitated. That's usually internal. I'm a data analyst, I said. I file mandatory reports for a living. I understand process. She studied me. Then printed it. The restaurant name jumped out. I knew the place. High-end. Discreet. They'd have cameras. Cut. I borrowed a charger. Let my phone hit full battery. Pulled up my contacts. One name I hadn't used in years. Mara Chen. Director of Operations for the restaurant group. I texted, emergency. Need a favor. Confidential. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then, call me. I didn't. Phones leave trails. Instead, I asked the nurse for a wheelchair. Played the part. Weak man. Harmless. Outside, the city breathed. Sirens. Tires. A helicopter somewhere overhead. Mara met me by the service entrance an hour later. Sunglasses. Clipboard. You look like hell, she said. Been told worse. She led me through a back hallway. Smelled like bleach and citrus. Cameras everywhere. She stopped at a monitor bank. Officially, I can't give you this. Unofficially? She pulled up the timestamp. Zoomed in. The bar. Our table. My glass. Serafina leaned in. Smiling. Talking. Her hand dipped below the frame. Then rose. Something small. Clear. Dissolved fast. Mara paused the frame. You see it? She asked. I nodded. A mentor once told me that the most dangerous lies are the ones delivered with eye contact. Cut. Back in my apartment that night, I noticed the silence. No music. No TV. Just the hum of the fridge. I walked room to room. Nothing missing. Nothing out of place. Which was worse? She'd been here. I checked the safe. Still locked. Checked the window. Latched. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. A photo. Me. Asleep. Taken from inside the room. Another message followed. You should have stayed unconscious. My breath hitched. Outside, the same black SUV idled across the street. Engine running. Waiting. I sat on the edge of the bed, camera footage looping in my head. Documents. Signatures. The policy. The pattern snapped into place with brutal clarity. She didn't want a divorce. She wanted a death certificate. The apartment stopped feeling like mine the moment I realized it could see me. Not walls. Not windows. Eyes. I unplugged every smart device first. TV. Speakers. Thermostat. One by one. The silence that followed wasn't peace. It was exposure. I slept in my clothes. Shoes by the bed. Phone charging in the bathroom, screen down. At 2:17 a.m., it vibrated. Unknown number. No message. Just a single frame sent through AirDrop. Me. Asleep. Shot from above. My chest locked. Someone had been inside. I didn't call the police. Not yet. A friend once told me that the first report is where the story hardens. And I wasn't ready to give them a version that could be buried. Instead, I called Vincent. Vincent Lark lived 3 floors underground in a building that pretended it wasn't a bunker. Former college friend. Former everything else too, cybersecurity consultant, private sector ghost, the guy companies hired when they didn't want paper trails. He watched the restaurant footage without blinking. Frame by frame. Enhance. Isolate. Clean. You see this, he said, pausing the image. Serafina's hand hovered above my glass. 2 fingers. Delicate. Practiced. There's hesitation, Vincent said. That's not panic. That's dosage. I swallowed. Can you prove it? Prove? He shrugged. I can show intent. Proof belongs to people with badges. I leaned back. The room smelled like ozone and burnt coffee. Vincent glanced at me. You pissed someone off? My wife, I said. Apparently. He didn't laugh. He pulled up another screen. I enhanced the background audio. You were right about the timing. He played it. Her voice. Low. Intimate. Drink. Trust me. Then, something else. A faint click. Like a vial snapping open. My stomach turned. Lucas, Vincent said slowly, this isn't a first-time move. That was the moment the room felt smaller. On my way home, I took 3 different routes. Subway. Cab. Walk. Still felt watched. At a crosswalk, I caught my reflection in a storefront window, split by a crack in the glass. 2 versions of me. One moving. One frozen. A thought surfaced, unwelcome and sharp. When someone plans your death, they steady you longer than anyone who loves you. I didn't go inside my building right away. I waited. Across the street, a man leaned against a black SUV. Hood up. Phone to ear. Not pretending very hard. I snapped a photo. Sent it to Vincent. His reply came fast. Where did you get that? Outside my apartment. Pause. Then, you're not the first husband that guy's followed. Serafina texted an hour later. Thinking of you. How's your heart? I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Doctor says I'll be fine. Good, she replied. We'll celebrate properly soon. Celebrate. People don't celebrate survival unless they expected something else. That night, I followed her. She left our building in heels she only wore when she wanted to be noticed. Hair down. Coat button wrong fast. I stayed back. Reflections. Windows. Crowd. She walked 3 blocks. Turned into a parking garage. I hesitated. A line from an old case file came back to me. Most men die because they mistake curiosity for control. I went in anyway. The garage smelled like oil and damp concrete. Light flickered. Echoes stretched. Serafina stood near the elevators. Talking to a man. Tall. Trim. Face forgettable on purpose. He handed her a folder. She nodded. Smiled. The smile she used on donors and doctors. He leaned in. Too close. She didn't pull away. I raised my phone. Click. The sound was loud. Stupid. They both turned. The man's eyes locked onto mine. Recognition sparked there. Not surprise. Assessment. He stepped toward me. I ran. I didn't stop until my lungs burned. In my apartment, I locked the door. Checked the peephole. Nothing. My phone buzzed again. Vincent. That man's name is Nolan Price. The name meant nothing. That was the point. He's a fixer. Works insurance fraud, identity transfers, staged deaths. High-end clients only. Staged deaths. The words rearranged my insides. Vincent sent another message. If Serafina's working with him, this isn't about a policy payout. It's infrastructure. Infrastructure. Systems. Processes. Redundancies. I sat on the floor, back against the couch, and laughed once. Short. Ugly. Someone once said that love makes you blind, but strategy teaches you exactly where to look. I replayed every memory. Every conversation. Every small accommodation I'd mistaken for care. Her questions about my work. My passwords. My habits. What time I slept. How deep. I stood and went to the bathroom. The mirror was fogged from the shower she'd taken earlier. I wiped it clean. My face stared back. Older. Sharper. A man finally catching up to the math. The phone buzzed one last time. Unknown number. Text only. You're asking the wrong questions. I typed back. Then asked me the right one. 3 dots appeared. Then vanished. Silence. I understood it then. The shape of it. The scope. If she was working with him, then I was never her husband. I was a project. There's something uniquely humiliating about hiring a private investigator to follow your wife. But this wasn't about jealousy. This was about survival. I met him in a diner off Canal Street. Vinyl seats. Grease-stained menus. A place so forgettable it became invisible. His name was Alec Mercer. Retired NYPD, now freelance. Square jaw, gray at the temples, voice like gravel soaked in bourbon. You sure you want this, Mr. Ward? He asked, flipping open a legal pad. Once we dig, we don't stop. If I didn't want to know, I said, I'd already be dead. He nodded. No questions after that. Cut. By noon, Alec had traced Nolan Price's last 3 clients, all male. All wealthy. 2 of them deceased under circumstances that barely held up an autopsy. The third? Missing. No proof he's dirty, Alec said. But the trail's lined with bleach. I asked about the paper trail. The signatures. The policy. He leaned in. Do you know what an AMC is? I shook my head. Asset Management Corporation. Front for high net worth laundering. Legal until it isn't. If someone set one up in your name and transferred holdings into it, you're not the owner anymore. You're the product. The room felt colder. They already filed a lien on your consulting IP, he added. They're building walls around you, Lucas. Quietly. Cleanly. You can dismantle it. I can delay it. But you need leverage. You need to hit them where it bleeds. Cut. That night, I went to Serafina's charity gala. Black tie. High ceilings. Crystal light fixtures that looked like falling glass. She didn't expect me. Which was exactly the point. The moment I stepped into that ballroom, I wasn't a husband. I was a ghost returning to haunt the scene of the crime. Her eyes widened. Just slightly. Then reset. Lucas, she said, all warmth and social polish. You look healthy. You sound surprised. She touched my arm lightly. We're in public. Exactly. Camera flashes. Murmurs. No time for a scene. No room for silence. She introduced me to her friends like nothing had happened. A doctor. A gallery curator. A woman with the kind of smile that hid corpses. Then I saw him. Nolan. In a black tux, sipping scotch near the exit. Casual. Watchful. He didn't come over. Just nodded. Like we were in on the same game. I whispered to Serafina, "Did you ever love me?" She held my gaze. Her lips barely moved. "You were efficient." A woman passed behind her, laughing. My stomach turned. I stepped back. "One day you'll tell the truth." "Only if I need to," she said. "Some stories are safer buried." Cut. I slipped into the catering corridor. Alec was waiting by the staff entrance. He handed me a tablet. Email dump from AMC's server. Took some favors. The screen loaded. Files. Dozens. One labeled LucasWard_auth.docs. I opened it. Consent form. Signatures. Witnesses. But one line caught my eye. IP proxy, Blake Nolan. Blake. Her brother. She hadn't just partnered with Nolan Price. She'd pulled in family. Trust becomes lethal when it's used as cover. Cut. Outside, the night was freezing. I walked. Block after block. Sirens in the distance. The city blinking like a machine on the verge of shutdown. A message came in from Alec. "Check your email." I did. AMC filing attached. Client listed as Serafina Ward, primary, Lucas Ward, deceased, pending. Deceased. Pending. I stopped walking. The word stared back. They weren't planning to kill me anymore. They were waiting for the paperwork to catch up. I lifted my head. Across the street, a man stood under a broken street lamp. Not Nolan. Someone else. Phone at his ear. Face blurred by shadow. He turned. Walked away. Too calm. I followed. Half a block. Then he disappeared through an unmarked door. I hesitated. "You don't solve a trap by stepping into it," I said aloud. Still, I stepped in. The stairwell was dark. Smelled like mildew and stale electricity. Down 2 flights. Light under a metal door. I knocked once. The door creaked open. And there she was. Not Serafina. Her sister. Lena. I hadn't seen her in 2 years. "You need to listen carefully," she said, eyes darting past me. "Because they're almost done. And you were never the only one." Lena didn't sit. She paced. Concrete floor. Flickering bulb. The kind of light that makes everyone look guilty. "She always said marriage was about contingency," Lena said. "Not love. Backup plans. Exit strategies." I stayed quiet. People confess more when you don't interrupt. "She called it insurance," Lena went on. "I called it paranoia. Turns out, I was naive." She slid a flash drive across the table. Black. Unmarked. Found it in her old laptop. Hidden partition. Password protected. I picked it up. Cold plastic. Lightweight. "What's on it?" Lena met my eyes. She named the folder Widow Protocol. The words landed wrong. Too clean. Too prepared. Someone once told me that evil doesn't improvise, it templates. Cut. Vincent cracked the drive in under 6 minutes. Encryption layered. Military grade. But sloppy at the edges. Like it had been rushed. Files bloomed across the screen. Medical records. Facial mapping software. Invoices from a private surgical clinic in New Jersey. Then the video. A man lay unconscious on a stainless steel table. Breathing shallow. Face half swollen. He looked like me. Not identical. But close enough. Holy hell, Vincent whispered. The file name read, substitute_alpha.mov. Another file opened automatically. Staging_sequence.pdf. Step by step. Sedation. Minor facial alteration. Dental replication. Clothing swap. Final note, simulated overdose. Controlled environment. No witnesses. I felt my pulse in my throat. She was going to fake your death, Vincent said. Without killing you. No, I said quietly. She was going to erase me. A line floated up from somewhere deep. The cruelest violence doesn't end life. It ends identity. Cut. The plan moved fast after that. Too fast. Because waiting is what gets you buried. I texted Serafina. I'm tired of fighting. Let's talk. 3 minutes passed. Then, come home. Home. The word tasted like rust. Cut. Vincent wired the apartment. Legal grade audio. Consent law satisfied, my residence, my recording. Microphones in the smoke detector. The lamp. The bookshelf. I watched him work with surgical precision. People think truth explodes, he said. It doesn't. It leaks. I nodded. I changed clothes. Put on the sweater she liked. Soft. Familiar. I practiced my face in the mirror. A man surrendering. A man done asking questions. Cut. She arrived at 9:14 p.m. No heels. No coat. Casual. Intimate. Lucas, she said softly, stepping inside. You look better. I feel worse. She smiled. Sat close. Too close. I've been so scared, she said. I thought I lost you. I let my shoulders sag. I don't want to fight anymore, I said. I just want peace. Her eyes searched my face. Calculating. Peace, she repeated. I can give you that. She reached for my hand. Her palm was warm. Human. That's what made it worse. I signed the new documents, she said lightly. Just in case. You know, so we're protected. Protected from what? I asked. She laughed. From chaos. From uncertainty. I nodded. Another philosopher's voice echoed in my head. When someone offers certainty, check where they plan to lock you. Cut. She went to the kitchen. Poured wine. The bottle was already open. I watched the glass. Her hand hovered. Paused. A distraction. Then she poured. Nothing added this time. She brought it over. Drink, she said. Trust me. I took the glass. Didn't sip. I want to start over, I said. Clean slate. She tilted her head. You always did like control. No, I said. I like clarity. She smiled. Then let me be clear. She leaned in. Voice low. This only works if you let go. I set the glass down. Of what? She exhaled. Slow. Of being seen. The room seemed to shrink. I know about Nolan, I said. Her expression didn't change. I know about AMC. About the policy. About the substitute. That did it. A flicker. Barely there. She straightened. You've been snooping, she said. Surviving. She stood. Walked to the window. Looked out. You were never meant to find out, she said. This was supposed to be gentle. Gentle? I laughed once. Sharp. You drugged me. You didn't die, she said. That matters. The way she said it chilled me. People die every day, she continued calmly. The world moves on. What matters is what's left behind. And what's left behind is yours, I said. She turned. Everything is, she said. That's marriage. The recorder blinked. Red light. Steady. She stepped closer. You could still walk away, she said. Disappear quietly. Let the story close. I shook my head. I don't disappear, I said. I document. Her eyes hardened. Then you forced my hand. She reached into her purse. Pulled out a phone. Typed one message. Sent. Somewhere, an engine started. I felt the air change. A line I'd lived by for years came back, cold and certain. If someone prepares a replacement for you, they've already decided you're obsolete. I stood. So that's it, I said. You replace me. She smiled. I preserve outcomes, she said. People are interchangeable. Outside, headlights swept across the wall. I understood then. She wasn't going to kill me. She was going to bury me without a body. Serafina didn't go quietly. She never did. Not in the elevator. Not in the car. Not when the first agent stepped through her front door. The cameras I planted caught everything. Not by accident. By design. The gala was broadcast. Her fall would be public. No back alleys. No private settlement. No phantom death. Just truth and high definition. The first FBI badge was crisp. He didn't smile. You recorded all of it, he asked. I nodded. Evidence streamed live in his tablet, the hidden files, the insurance policy, the staged death sequence, the AMC papers filed under a dead man's name. Serafina entered the room behind him. Hands raised. Not in surrender. In performance. I think there's been a terrible misunderstanding, she said. Calm. Perfect. The agent didn't flinch. Yes, he said. I think you misunderstood the law. Her mask slipped then. Just slightly. A twitch. A micro-expression. The camera caught it. Digital imperfection. Revealed truth. She realized the trap didn't just hold her. It exposed her. Outside, news crews began circling. The first tweet flashed, high society scandal, tech executive arrested for attempted murder and fraud. Alec Mercer watched with me. Quiet companion. Relentless. He said nothing. Some men fight with guns. Some with paperwork. Alec fought with process. And it won. Serafina was handcuffed. No dramatics. No screaming. Just plastic and metal. She walked backward out the door. Head held high. Until the flashbulbs broke her posture. I stood apart. Not triumphant. Not relieved. Just aware. Of the cost. Of the exposure. Of the body of evidence now outweighing her alibi. A prosecutor arrived next. Mandated statements. Mandatory reports. Legal language sharper than any blade. I gave mine. Short. Precise. Unflinching. I preserved the evidence, I said. And I'm here to see it through. The press asked questions. Too many. Too loud. A phrase kept repeating in headlines, betrayed from within. I thought about that. About betrayal. About trust. About how the people closest to us are often those we see least. A mentor once told me, the biggest danger isn't what's hidden, it's what's ignored. I understood that now. Better than ever. Serafina's father arrived. Older man. White hair. A look that carried decades of disappointment. Not in me. In her. He didn't speak. Just watched his daughter walk into a vehicle with tinted windows. And leave. Days later, the court hearing was brief. Not easy. Not simple. Public, but orderly. I sat alone. No supporters. No family. Just truth and its weight. The judge read the charges. Attempted murder. Fraud. Identity theft. Conspiracy. Each word landed like a judge's hammer. And then silence. A moment that stretched. Then the gavel. Guilty on all counts. Serafina didn't cry. Not in court. Not in the van afterward. Nothing. Her eyes were blank. As if the truth finally filled the hollow space where denial once lived. I walked out of the courthouse into rain. Not heavy. Not cleansing. Just wet. A reminder that storms come in forms beyond weather. Months passed. The AMC dissolved. Accounts reversed. Investigations expanded. People were held accountable. But it wasn't enough to erase the past. It was enough to define the future. Alec visited once. We stood outside a cafe. Rain had stopped. The world buzzed. Quiet chaos. Your evidence was airtight, he said. I nodded. A law is only as strong as the truth it carries, he added. Words like that stick. Like cold water on an open wound. I returned to work. Not the same desk. Not the same office. A new company. New focus. Truth first analytics. No shortcuts. No shadows. No illusions. Someone once said, a man defined by survival is more dangerous than one defined by strength. I understood why now. Because survival requires precision. And clarity. On the night of her sentencing, the news ticker ran her conviction sentence, 15 years. Minimum security. No parole. And a list of restitution orders. My name appeared briefly. Not as victim. Not as survivor. As the man who documented the fall. When I walked home that night, city lights glowed. Not warm. Not cold. Just present. Real. I stopped by the window. Saw my reflection. Two versions of me. One who almost died. One who walked away with the truth. I reached out. Fingers on glass. And whispered. Truth isn't what saves you. It's what you build when lies collapse. The night held its breath. Then exhaled. And I stepped back into the dark, ready for whatever came next.